Testing. There we go. All right. All right. Live once again. I've got the list of pieces submitted. We're just going to review this. All right. So I only made the announcement on Instagram this time around. I meant to announce it on both, so sorry about that. But we got a couple of really strong submissions this time, so I'm excited to kind of listen to them, give some feedback. First things first, welcome everybody. Welcome as usual. If you have any comments, any questions, throw them in the comments. I'm always happy to address them, whether it's about music, whether it's about the arrangements, if it's one of your submissions you put in here. I love be able to talk with people, so it's not just me sitting here. So welcome, Visme. Welcome. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But let's see here. So the first one we have is a submission by Matthew Lewis. There were no requests accompanying this one, so it's just going to kind of be general feedback. Now, we're going to start playing it. Let me know if you can't hear it. I've been having issues with the music not going through with the stream, so let me know. But, ooh, got a nice piano chord starting. All right. Give me some Ghibli vibes. All right. Ooh. Nice arrangement. Start taking notes on my notebook in front of me. This is nice. I love that. Is that the oboe? Ooh, that reminds me of the motif from Spirited Away. From Sixth Station? Oh, that's one of my favorite pieces of all time. So I'd be interested to know if you got any inspiration from that, Matt. It's a very similar motif. That was awesome. All right, so first off, yes, I knew it. All right, Matt agrees. He confirms you were going for Hisaishi. Beautiful piece. Love the vibe. All right. Now, a couple of things I did notice. So, first off, great piece. Love the harmony, love the melodies. Very memorable way of writing it. Great arrangement. There were a few moments when the transitions were a bit sudden. So, for example, around the 50-second marker. If we listen, transitioning from the strings and woodwinds, I believe it was just strings, into just the piano comes a little bit of jolt. Yeah, strings and woodwinds, then the piano. Which, that kind of worked. One second. Let's listen to it again. One more time. I mean, it's not as jarring, maybe, as I listen to it, but I kind of know what's coming. But there are these different things in music. As a music educator, there are kind of things called bumps and holes, all right? So a hole is when your music just is no longer commanding attention, all right? And the audience, their mind starts to wander. A bump is when your audience's focus shifts to something you don't want it to shift to. All right, so it's sort of like driving down a very scenic road. You're loving the views, and suddenly you hit a giant pothole in the road. All right, and it shakes the car. All right, now everyone in the car is focusing on the pothole, and they're not focusing on the beautiful view. Similar things can happen in your music. Transitions like this happen every once in a while. There are basically 3 types of transitions you can use. There is an unprepared transition, which is very jarring. There is a sudden transition, which is again very jarring, but it's a little smoother transition. And then there is an actual gradual kind of transition. I think here you handled it better. After listening to it a couple times, it didn't stick out as much because I was going to say you should have a bit of a fade between the two. So if you're going from primarily strings and woodwinds, you're moving towards a primarily piano feature, those 2 sections, very different timbres, you should find a way to kind of fade in between, meaning that as the strings and woodwinds get quieter, the piano gradually gets louder, so that they kind of crossfade and creams a more of a seamless blend. It sounds like you did that. The main thing that I think that stuck out though, that caused it to be a little more jarring, is that you don't have equal amounts of reverb on all of your instruments. So if we listen to the very beginning, or actually we don't need to listen to the very beginning, we can just listen to those couple seconds again. We're going to hear that the piano is very wet, all right, which means the piano has a lot of reverb. It sounds like it's in a very big space. But we don't hear the same for the orchestral instruments. And so it sounds like they were recorded in completely different spaces, which is fine. That's part of working with sound libraries. But if you want to try and take this the extra mile, because this really is a very well done piece, which is why I'm being kind of picky here. If you allow me to be picky, I would say if you bring in a little bit more of an even sound on the reverb for both groups of instruments, your orchestra and your piano, if they both have the same kind of tail at the end of their sound, if they both sound like they've got the same kind of room that they're in, it's going to make the whole thing sound a lot smoother, a lot more cohesive. So let's listen again. If we can. Why is it not playing? It stopped working. Let's refresh. Let's go here. That was about where we were, right? No, it was a bit earlier. So listen, we're listening. Beautiful woodwinds, beautiful strings. Fairly dry reverb. Not a lot of tail. Then the piano has this huge kind of echo about it. It's in a beautiful large space. That's a beautiful sound. But if you're going to use it, you want to make sure all of your instruments have the same kind of vibe. All in all, though, this is a beautiful piece. I really enjoyed it, Matt. I think I love Studio Ghibli music, and I think you captured the vibe for it perfectly here. But awesome. Looks like we had a couple of quotes. Not quotes, comments. Hunter Onyx, thank you for all you do for the community for free. You're always very helpful. Thank you, Hunter Onyx. I really appreciate that. I love what I do, and I love listening to people's music. All right, you guys all blow me away, so I love being able to help out. That being said, if you would also like to help me out, I have merch you can purchase below. I have stuff I have ebooks and notes, all kinds of cool things that you can purchase on my website, as well as a class online version of the class, and then like an ebook version of the class, and then private lessons. Those are all ways you guys can support me monetarily. If, however, that's not in your, if you're not able to do that at the moment, no worries. A simple like and subscribe to the channel does wonders. So that's my plug, but thank you, Hunter Onyx. I appreciate you. Pumko, welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everybody. Awesome. Looks like everybody's here. Yimwev, how could we submit our music? Awesome. So if you want to submit music for future streams, because I will be doing more, follow me on Instagram. All right, Tabletop Composer. Yeah, just at Tabletop Composer. I think there's a link on my YouTube channel to the Instagram page. But follow me on Instagram and watch for when I make posts like this. I'll do a post every other week or maybe every week. We'll see. Basically telling you how to submit your basically the rules for submission. So I think this time it was maximum of 4 minutes. Long pieces, only one submission per person, and you just had to send it to me via email with basically requests for what you want feedback on. But yeah, so the easiest way to make sure you don't miss out on the next one is just to follow me on Instagram and keep an eye out for that post, because I will be doing more of those. But excellent work, Matt. Excellent work. So that's Matthew. Next we have Hert. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hert. I'm from America. We don't have the little dots over most of our letters, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But I Googled it, And I thought it said instead of heart, it would be pronounced Hert, but I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I've got the link to the music. We've got request anything you think could be useful. So Hert is looking for notes on orchestration, melody, structure, mixing, etc. And additional notes is that Hert is been recently teaching themselves how to write music, which is awesome. Congratulations. I think that's what everyone should be doing. I think everyone should teach themselves something. All right, and why not be music, right? And loves film music in particular. Awesome. Oh, awesome. So I am pronouncing your name right. All right, but let's give a listen to the music, shall we? Ooh, right on the nose. 359. Oh, I gotta make sure to like this. I'm loving the vibe so far. I feel like there's a style for today's stream. Lots of ambient pianos. I like the photo too, kind of the blurry pine trees. Ooh. Got a waltz. Ooh, and you're using one of my favorite chord relationships. The minor triad to the major triad of perfect fourth away. And I've mentioned that a lot on this channel. Like an A minor to D major, favorite sound. Love the chimes. Oh, I like that. This is the vibe. I'm liking this. You really did a good job with this. Definitely has a very cinematic feel to it. Just taking some notes here. You're using the strings very well for this genre. Nice. That was beautiful. I wish I could like that more than once. That is... Wow. All right, here, this should not be a private video. You should definitely make this public, all right? If your music... Okay, so this is going to be kind of hypocritical because I have a lot of music that I haven't shared. But if you're... This is a good piece, all right? You should share it. You should put it out there into the world, all right? But, all right, so... Wow. All right, that was very well done. I love that kind of genre of music. So first off, I am a sucker for that sound. That I don't know what key this was in. I don't have perfect pitch, but that chord sound, that minor chord moving to a major chord, a perfect fourth away. I would recognize that anywhere. That's one of my favorite pieces. I sneak that into so many pieces that I write because I just love the sound of it. And so, of course, I'm a sucker for using that kind of chord relationship in your own music. But the instrumentation choice was fantastic. I would love to know if you had a reference track for this. Was there something else that inspired this? Was it completely original? But the melody worked. The feel of the waltz was beautiful. The instrumentation choice of having like the piano, the soft felt piano, with it sounded like a lot of idiophones. Maybe Celeste, maybe it could have been vibraphone, but it sounded like you might have had kalimba or marimba. You had a bunch of really cool kind of percussion, pitched percussion instruments playing throughout this. There's really not too much I can give in terms of like structure. I kind of got swept away with the music, so unfortunately I wasn't paying attention to like specific things, except for one thing. Your orchestration, your melody, all of that was really well done. And so I feel like you're ready to go into the next step, which is making the most out of your sound libraries. This was a beautiful arrangement, but there were just a few moments where your string patches sounded like string patches. All right? So, and that's not a bad thing, but if you want to go, like I said, this is me being picky, a little bit nitpicky, finding out how to go to the next level would be to finding out how to make the most out of your MIDI instruments. In particular, when the strings are playing nice, long, sustained notes, it's very rare that they'll just hold it and do nothing. Strings are very expressive instruments, and expression in music, or at least for long, sustained notes, comes from three things. All right? The expression comes from variation in pitch, timbre, and volume. All right? And you do all of that while holding a single note. So pitch, that would typically refer to vibrato. You want to add a bit of vibrato to your sound. A lot of the time you had completely dry strings, no vibrato. And that's fine if that was on purpose. But most of the time when you're making a realistic MIDI mock-up, you want to add a bit of vibrato to your strings because that's what the actual players are going to do. As a general rule of thumb, anything that's getting louder, the vibrato will build up to be more vibrato. Anytime the sound is getting quieter, the vibrato will slow down. All right, there will become less vibrato. So that's how you can add variation to the pitches. Pay a little bit more attention to your vibrato. To add a bit more variation to your timbre, that's going to be your modulation data. All right, and so just creating a general shape for each sustained note. If you imagine every phrase has kind of like a hill to it, that'll help a lot. And then the same, a very kind of similar shape with either your track volume, which is CC7, I believe, or your expression. That was a lot of technical information, but the big takeaway from this would be that fantastic orchestration, fantastic melody, harmony choices were really cool. I love hearing anything written in Dorian. And yeah, I'd say the next thing you'd like to focus on is how to make a bit more mileage out of your own sound libraries. That's how you're going to help to add that additional polish and make it sound even more professional. But does that make sense? Typically when I get very broad requests for like anything at all, it's kind of hard to like pinpoint specific things to help with. And so my brain just kind of latches onto anything that sticks out. For me, that was really the only thing that stuck out, which is a good thing because this was really well done. And I think if I had been able to listen to it a couple more times, I would have been able to give you more specifics, but hopefully that helps. Then say, let's see, these chords are just amazing, right? I love this kind of harmony. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, people, throw in your own feedback as well into the comments. I'd love to see what you guys have to say about these pieces. Hart, maybe Jan Tiersen's music has something to do with the style. I'm not actually familiar with Jan Tiersen. I'll have to check him out. I'm going to make a note of that. Jan Tiersen. All right, Visme says, what was it you said with the major to minor thing? Ah, yes. So a major, actually, awesome. I do have Cubase up. I was worried that I'm working on sketching a piece, but so what I was talking about is something called a chord relationship, or CR. Sometimes it's called Neo-Riemannian theory. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. But the idea is that you have certain chord combinations that just have a unique sound. So the one I was talking about was this little kind of number. A minor to D major. Beautiful sound. One of my favorite sounds you can create with a chord. I just love it. I use it in a lot of my music. If you saw my, I did a playlist on scoring a short film recently, and a lot of the soundtrack for that dealt with this as a motif. But that is, you take a minor triad, you take a major triad, and you just make sure, I'm going to mute this so that you don't have to listen to it move up, the roots are separated by a perfect fourth. A to D is a perfect fourth. Normally in the key of A minor, that would be a D minor. But if you make it major, you get this very kind of whimsical, magical kind of sound that I just love. Let's do it up an octave. Beautiful sound, one of my favorite things. And then in reverse, which is the D major to A minor, if I can get my piano pedal out from, sorry, piano pedal went under my desk, but if I can go from D major down, very kind of romantic, again, whimsical, kind of magical kind of sound. Beautiful sound, awesome, and I noticed I would recognize that sound anywhere because it's one of my absolute favorite chord combinations in music, and it was very much featured here. So, excellent work, Hert. If anyone would want to learn more about chord relationships, I have a video called Chord Relationships and Emotion. It's one of my more popular videos on the channel. It goes very in-depth on this topic. In fact, I also have a blog post linking to that specific video on my website. So check out my website, tabletopcomposer.com. Check out the blogs. You can see emotions and music. While you're there, check out the bookstore. Check out my merch. Check out all kinds of stuff, all right? But excellent work. I really enjoyed that piece. All right, Visme, awesome. Next up, very present. We got a bunch of people present in the comments. Awesome. All right, so requests. How is the harmony in the chords? Does it accomplish the targeted feeling? Does the choice of instruments fit the vibe of the music, and how do I interpret it? All right, so what comes to mind when I'm listening to it? Now, additional notes. For this piece, you were looking for an epic adventure feel. Awesome. Really fun things to work with. Inspiration, well, biggest inspiration was the Top Gun soundtrack. Now, don't hate me, but I've never seen Top Gun. I know, it's supposed to be in this amazing movie, and I really want to see it. I have a whole list of movies that I need to see, but I know. I'll get to it. So I have no reference, unfortunately. Visa says, first check in a while after feeling a bit unmotivated for a while. That happens a lot, actually. You would not believe how frequently I feel unmotivated to write music. Usually what works best for me are timers. All right? When I am not feeling like writing, but I know I'm supposed to write, I say, all right, 5 minutes. All right? And I set a timer for 5 minutes. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. I just need to work on playing around, writing something for 5 minutes. Because then it's much easier for me to say at the end of the 5 minutes, all right, I can do another 5 minutes kind of thing, and keep going until eventually one of two things happens. Either I work on it enough that I finally get momentum going and feel motivated, or I just don't feel motivated. I just stop, and at least I know I tried. At least I know I did something, right? So that's my recommendation to people. Try timers, all right? Just set 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I'm going to write music for 5 minutes. All right, that's actually how I got this little chord progression. I was definitely not up for feeling anything kind of composing, but I forced myself for just like 5 minutes to come up with something, and I came up with this little thing. Just kind of a downward movement. Then I reharmonized it. Same structure. And it kind of got the vibe I was looking for, so it's something. Anywho, I don't know why I shared that. But the idea being that, yeah, 5 minutes, all right? I told myself I would work on it for 5 minutes. I ended up just spending like 30 minutes jamming around, playing with different variations of that until I've got a couple ideas. That's not the only thing I came up with in 30 minutes, but it was the one that I ended up going with. So awesome. That's kind of me on a tangent. Careful what you guys put in the comments because I get into tangents very, very easily. But yeah, so that's my way of dealing with motivation. Final note, this piece is not finished. Awesome. That takes guts to share a work in progress. All right, so the main melody is missing. It's very short and hasn't been mixed or mastered. Not a problem. All right, share your pieces. Doesn't matter what stage you're in. If you're confident or courageous enough to share a work in progress, more power to you. All right, let's see what kind of feedback we can get on this. Let's see here. Awesome. Ooh. All right. Don't often get electric guitars on this channel. That's awesome. All right. Ooh. Here we go. Taking notes again, don't mind me. Ooh. I'm enjoying this. Ooh, nice come down. Very sudden, but it kind of works. Oh wait, is it done? Oh wow. Yeah, that's done. I was expecting to keep going. I was kind of jamming. I lost track of time. Awesome. So, Visme, wonderful. All right, incredible starting point for a song, especially because you said it was still starting. Oh, you guys can kind of see the stuff that I watch. Here we go. Yeah, excellent work. All right. So, gotta make sure I like it. Electric guitar is really fun. All right. I wish I could work with more electric guitar in my music. There's no reason why I can't, other than I don't have an electric guitar. Used to. Then I was strapped for cash, needed to find a gift for my brother for either Christmas or his birthday or something, and I knew he really wanted one, so I gave him mine. I'm fine. I've got enough instruments. I do kind of want another electric guitar, though. Anywho, I'm going on tangents again. But, so a couple things. First off, right in the beginning, kind of going back to the kind of tip I gave for Matt, it's helpful when you're working with a lot of dry instruments like this. You'll notice there's no reverb. Alright? And that's fine. But something that can really help right off the bat when you are working with a lot of dry instruments to just give a little bit of reverb. Because that'll help give you a little bit of a closer view of what it's going to sound like at the end by putting it in a space. This is good. I'm sorry, I'm kind of vibing over it again. It's a really good start. I like this. That's just so much fun, all right? So great arrangement. I love the instrument choices, all right? Love the instrument choices. Really cool, kind of build into it. It's a different genre that I'm used to giving critiques for. But I would say a little bit of reverb can help glue everything together by putting it in the same room. Other than that, this is, like, it's kind of difficult to give feedback on an earlier progress. But the couple things I can say, you definitely hit the vibe. All right, the action adventure kind of thriller music, it works really well for this. The guitar is really awesome. At this point, since it's so early, I can't give anything too specific. I would just say add a little bit of reverb at the beginning. And let's listen to it again one more time to see if I can. I feel like I can't just keep telling people, put reverb on it. That's not very helpful, is it? I gotta find something a bit more specific. All right. So there is one thing I'm starting to notice that's missing, right? You've got a lot of high end up here, all right? You've got an electric guitar, you've got some vocal choirs singing up here, you've got a piano playing up here, you've got some synths. What you're missing is a lot of your lower end sounds, all right? And so right now what it gives, it's still an epic sound. but the quality is just a bit thinner. You want to create a thicker, heavier, more powerful sound. It needs a bit more of a bass. It needs more bottom end. So something that would probably work really well for kind of this epic feel is I would experiment with playing with either kind of heavy low strings or maybe even kind of a powerful brass section. Either one could work really well if you're looking more for a hybrid orchestra rock kind of feel. But no matter how you go, even kind of a bass guitar, I would say you're going to want to add a bit more bottom end to this. And that kind of goes with like the pitch distribution. So right now you've got the higher register and the middle register pretty well taken care of. If you want this to sound a bit more whole, a little more heavy, add some more bass to it. Like I said, maybe emphasize a bass guitar, maybe bring in some low strings or low brass, something kind of weighty, something to give it more meat to the sound. Hopefully that makes sense, but for a beginning piece, for something that's still in the works, this is really, really good. You definitely hit the vibe you were looking for. And yeah, I would love to hear this when it's finished. So please, yeah, when you're done, keep working on it. When you're done, send it to me, all right? And I would love to give you more specific feedback once we got a finished piece, all right? Awesome work, my friend. All right, let's see here. Piece made. Then we've got Raphael. All right, awesome. So Raphael requests, how do I make this beat less stale regarding the structure? Ooh, that's a question I can sink my teeth into, all right? How can I make the bass more powerful? And how can I make the drums pop more? All right, awesome. 3 specific questions. The more specific your questions, the more helpful I can be, I feel like. Well, I guess it's not more helpful I can be. It's more like a crapshoot. I will answer any questions you guys have got, but specific ones, I can get right to the answer. If I don't have a specific answer, then you're kind of stuck with whatever comes up to my mind. So that may be helpful. It may not be. I might shoot something out there that you already were aware of or something that you don't really care much for. So apologies if that's happened, but I can definitely help with these 3, all right? Additional notes. The beat is supposed to be from the Liquid DnB genre. Huh. I have no idea what that is. Made fully on GarageBand Mobile, but they would appreciate a review as if it were done on a professional DAW. Getting FL Studio soon. Awesome! FL Studio is like the only DAW I don't have any experience with. I've worked with Logic. I've worked with GarageBand, which is basically Logic. I've worked with Cubase. I've worked with Ableton. I've worked with Studio One. And with, what is it? I'm missing a big one, and I know because I've got it on my computer right now. I'm forgetting it. I'm blanking on the name. Apologies. It's another big one. But FL Studio, it's the one that I've never tried before, unfortunately. I've got lots of students who work with it, and it seems very powerful, but awesome. I'm on a tangent. I need to stop myself. Raphael, let's listen to your music, my friend, and see if we can answer those questions. Everything so far. You guys are really talented. You'll blow me away every time I listen to your music. It's amazing. I like that. All right, it is a genre I know nothing about. All right, but I love just kind of like this. Kind of, it reminds me almost of what's it called? That video game. It's Cyberpunk. It gives some Cyberpunk vibes to me. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not because I've never played Cyberpunk, but I have a roommate who played it religiously for quite a while, who watched the anime, who watched everything, so I'm kind of familiar with the overall vibe, but I could be showing my ignorance at the moment, but that's the kind of vibe I get from it, and I love it. All right, I am here for this. All right, let's check out those questions again, all right, because you have specific ones. How do you make this beat less stale regarding the structure? I'm going to be honest, I didn't really think the beat was stale at all. All right, so from what I do know about like electronic dance style genres, repetition is really key. All right, you're going to change the sound you can develop, but there wasn't really a point in this where I felt like, all right, it's this same, but I never felt like it was getting old or repetitive. That being said, if you do want to if you are insistent on a strategy to help keep this beat from getting less stale, what I would recommend, and again, take it with a grain of salt, this is not my genre, but that being said, sometimes the most creative ideas come from combining kind of views from different non-related genres. But I would recommend something called rondo form. All right, in fact, let's start taking notes. I don't know why I haven't been doing this earlier. But rondo form, and again, it could be helpful. Not saying it would be helpful. I mean, I think it would be. I mean, this applies to many different things. But again, I don't think your music was stale, but if you are insistent on learning more about structure, rondo form is essentially A, B, A, C, A, D structure. All right, you can cut it short in a little bit thing, but the idea for rondo structure is essentially if you think about it as a refrain. The A section is your refrain, and the refrain is always the same. All right, it can develop here and there, it changes, but basically your main beat for this would be the refrain. Now, what makes this form unique is that all of the verses are different. All right, verse 1 has a different melody, a different texture, a different structure than verse 2, which has a different one from verse 3. And what really works well for this structure is it makes it very loopable. Because even though your refrain repeats 3 times in this entire structure, it's separated by 3 different melodies, 3 different sections. So even if this entire thing were to get repeated verbatim, like you were to just copy and paste, the C phrase only gets heard twice. The B phrase only gets heard twice. Same with the D phrase. And even though the A phrase gets repeated 6 times, because it's separated by a unique kind of melody each time, instead of sounding repetitive, it just sounds stable. Right, the A theme helps you bind them all together. Does that make sense? So, I don't know how helpful that is. That's what I would recommend. This is what I also recommend a lot for video game music that needs to be looped. Rondo form is very popular in video game music. I mean, who knew, right? Who knew that a classical structure could actually work in modern video game music? That's not sarcasm. That's genuine surprise. Not that I don't think classical music has a place. I am a huge fan of classical music and just concert music in general. It's just fun to see when a structure designed hundreds of years ago can apply to something as modern as video game music. So that's something I would recommend, maybe potentially helpful. But yeah, my personal opinion, I don't think it felt stale. Something else you can do is if you are insistent on that, if you don't want to try that, something that works really well for electronic music is to just start substituting layers. All right, the beat can continue, but maybe you swap out the melody. Or maybe it's the same thing repeated over and over again, called strophic form. A, repeated. Same beat, same melody, over and over again. But the way you keep it from getting stale is you keep rearranging it. All right, new instruments on the melody, new instruments on the bass line, new instruments doing this, that. You find different ways to add variety, even if your core elements aren't changing. And that's always the key. For music, if you find some things that you are not willing to compromise, not willing to change, fantastic, wonderful, because that means everything else can. And that really is part of the trick for film scoring and video game music and all that kind of stuff, is to figure out what aspects of your themes are you not willing to compromise. I actually did a live lesson on this for my online class recently, talking about transitioning through different emotions for character themes. But the idea is, if you know what the core essence, the core identity of your theme is, everything else can change. Even if you're changing the style, the genre, the instrumentation, the harmony, if you've decided that these two things, maybe it's a specific interval, maybe it's a specific instrument, something, if that is what the core identity of your theme is, everything else can change. Whether you're changing it to create a new emotion, or you're changing it to keep it from getting stale. That would be my recommendation, all right? Rondo form is awesome, but if you don't want to work with it, then take some time, figure out which parameters of your music are non-negotiable. Which ones are you refusing to change? Could that be maybe the melody? Could it be the chord progression? Could it be the tempo? Whatever it is, anything. Make a list of things you're not willing to compromise, because that means anything that's not on the list, you can start experimenting with. Maybe your melody and harmony and beat are non-compromisable. Fantastic. So now experiment with voices. What if you change the singer voice? What if you drop that an octave? What if you replace it with a ping-ponging kind of choir? What if you just replace the voice altogether and you change it with a different instrument? There's all kinds of opportunities you can open up to yourself once you've established rules. And that's something that Hans Zimmer talks about quite a bit. I think he talks about that quite a bit with his Sherlock Holmes soundtrack, was establishing rules. And once you know those rules, that means everything else is fair game. So one of his rules was no Mozart. All right, for the Sherlock Holmes, no classical music. He wanted to avoid that. So if there's no classical music, that means he can work with literally anything. And that's how we ended up with this brilliant banjo, broken dulcimer, broken piano kind of sound that became very iconic. Now, once again, I understand I'm on a tangent, so I apologize for that. Hopefully it was at least a helpful tangent. But I'm going to try and get back to work because we have one more. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Awesome. Oh, awesome. Great. Excellent work, though. I really enjoyed it. All right, I've enjoyed all of these. You guys are brilliantly talented. All right, thank you for sharing your music with me. All right, so Sheath, last request of the day. Guys, how does this work? How can it be improved? Additional notes going from an ancient Egyptian type vibe. Awesome, wonderful. And Sheath was one of the submitters for last stream. So if you're watching this and you submitted one last time and you didn't submit one this time because you didn't want to take up more than one spot, no worries. This channel isn't so big that I get swarmed with submissions. Not yet. Maybe one day. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Maybe. I don't know. But for now, it's not. So feel free. If you ever want feedback, just send it my way. If you want to know when I'm going to do the next feedback stream, follow me on Instagram. That's where I make the posts about these videos. That's how you can get instructions on how to send me your links, how to what kind of things I'm looking to get feedback on, all that kind of cool stuff. But for now, let's listen to our last one. Ooh, which is a SoundCloud file. First one. Ooh, Gods and Monsters. No, not now. Wait, what happened? Here we go. Sorry, just checking the panning. All right. Awesome. Wow. All right. So that was really cool. I'm just kind of lost in it. That. First off, I'm a sucker for kind of like the world music sounds. All right, these different instruments that aren't typically found in the orchestra. Amazing, beautiful options out there. All right. So, one second. I see a couple comments before I get started there. Can we see high? Can we modulate E Lydian into E Lydian sharp 2 or D Dorian into D double harmonic Mi minor? I am absolutely positive you can. I'm sure there's a physical way. Right now, unfortunately, that's pretty obscure and nothing's coming. No specific diehard strategies are coming to mind at the moment. So I'd say just kind of check out my videos on modulation and see which any of those strategies can help. Can we submit another composition for B-Deck? Well, like right now, maybe. You know what? Why not? All right. If you have a piece you would like me to review and your video was not reviewed in this stream, put them in the comments. There's no guarantee that I will get to them. All right, I can only go for a little bit longer. I got like 10, 15 minutes tops that I can stay on this stream. But if we got time, I will get to it. All right? So awesome. Feel free. Put them in the comments. Shoot your shot. If we got time, we'll get to it. If not, no worries. You can always submit it for the next time I do one of these. So, and then find out the next time I do one of these. Follow me on Instagram. All right? Asper, yeah, awesome. So same thing. Yeah, awesome. Instructions are a treat in itself. I'm surprised he doesn't have a reaction. Well, thank you. He's not for it in my reaction channel. Tapping the videos every 5 seconds. Yeah. No, yeah, it's not quite my style. I love listening to this stuff all the way through, but I wouldn't be against it in the future one. But yes, all right, so Sean Gilbert, yes, the melodic embellishments are very well done. You did a lot of things that's kind of like stereotypical Hollywood Egyptian music, which is amazing. You got a Middle Eastern music, musical instruments. You got the flares. It sounded very Phrygian and kind of like Middle Eastern-y type music. Lots of different flares, a lot of color tones, embellishments thrown in there. Very well done. I think in terms of cleaning it up, the mix here and there could have been a little bit touched up. There are times we have a lot of movement going on, a lot of really cool ideas, but they're all competing for the foreground. So you've got a really cool kind of electronic beat. You've got kind of the world instruments playing the melody. Then you have the strings playing a very moving harmonic part. So that can totally all work. It's just going to require a little bit more effort. So I have a video in my advanced orchestration techniques called The 3 Pillars of Great Orchestration. And it talks about focus being one of them. That your foreground should command the most attention. At times, there were moments, I mean, it was a very well done piece of music. I don't want to make it sound like I'm negative. I love this music. It's amazing. Well done. I always feel bad giving feedback because I try not to be harsh. But that being said, I think the best way to improve this is to work on finding that balance and that focus. There were times when there was so much going on in your music that the layers were fighting each other for attention. Now, to get focus, there are different things you can do. You can focus on kind of like novel, new changing material. You can use the level of activity and movement, and you can also use pitch to kind of give more attention. I unfortunately won't go too deeply into those strategies here. If you want to learn more, check out my video on the 3 pillars of great orchestration. But another thing you can do is work on your mix. So you might have noticed while I was listening to the music, I was kind of doing one of these. That's because I was checking to see how much panning you had kind of done with some of these instruments. And maybe I'm wrong. I did only listen to it once, but it sounded like you didn't use much panning. Now remember, when you're mixing music, there are things you can do to kind of set the stage, so to say. Because you don't want to view these as just electronic instruments and a DAW. You want to view them as kind of like musicians on a stage. Where is each instrument located? And you can use things like the stereo field, so how far right and left and how narrow or wide the sounds are, to kind of carve out spaces for these instruments in your mix, which again can do wonders for kind of creating awesome sounds that don't compete with each other. I believe I have a free blog post on this. I say free blog post because it's technically a chapter from my book on making MIDI mockups. But I believe it talks about panning in there. It talks about setting the stage for your mockups. How to create basically a location and space. It talks about reverb, talks about panning, it talks about mic positioning and all that kind of cool stuff to kind of give your instruments a more of a fighting chance to not compete with each other, to not sound so busy. But excellent work. This was really well done. Oh, let's see here. Awesome. So I'm not seeing any more links. All right, so no worries. We've only got like 5 minutes anyways. Yeah. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes or so. Great music as always, everybody. I was blown away by the amount of talent in this stream. All right, you guys are amazing, and it makes me excited, genuinely excited to listen to your music. We've got a couple more minutes, so I am going to do a shameless plug for some merch. And while I do that, add any questions below. I'll be happy to kind of address kind of music theory questions, composition questions, films composing. You can also ask if I've done videos on different things. Let's see here. Oh yeah, shameless plug. All right, so check out my blog, see the kind of articles. I talked about reverb a lot in this stream. I talked about panning towards the end of it. I also talked about chord relationships and how to get those specific kind of interesting colors in your harmonies. I have a blog post about that. Check out the blog posts. They're really cool. I love to write them, and they're very useful. Also, while you're there, stop by, check out my bookshop, all right? I've got ebooks, I've got online classes, all kinds of really cool things that you can learn. Then below, I have all this kind of cool merch that you can check out. If you want a cool-ass hat like I wear. Sorry for saying ass. But check it out. I got t-shirts, I got hats, I got stickers, I got mugs, I got all kinds of really cool stuff. If you want, that's like, it really does help support the channel quite a bit. Helps me pay my bills, helps keep me from being homeless again. So thank you very much to everybody who helps support the channel. And yeah, if not, no worries. You can show support just by liking the video, subscribing it, and sharing it with your friends. That does so much for this channel to help it grow. If there is a forum that you enjoy, find my favorite video and just share it there, telling people why it's your favorite. Or tell your friends or anything, really. It does great things for me. So thank you, all of you. And then, awesome. Oh no, I think, is it showing? Oh, awesome. So, yeah, that's right, unfortunately. That's right. I remember hearing somewhere that you can't share links in the chat because of spam and whatnot. They're trying to keep being spam bots from being a thing. So sorry about that, but next time, this is not the last live feedback stream I'll be doing. Again, if you want to keep an eye out for it, follow me on Instagram. I will always post the week leading up to it that I am doing one of these. I'll make a post and I'll share it in my story. So if you ever see my story pop up, click on it, read it, see what's happening, get the details on how to share it. But yeah, until next time, I'm not seeing any questions, so I will see you all in the next stream. All right, have a beautiful day, everybody. Keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. Have a great day, my friends. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.